From the very beginning, I knew something was different. My parents never said it aloud, but I could feel it. I was not the daughter they wanted. That place was already taken by my sister. She was the golden child, their shining star. And me, I was the shadow. I remember birthdays most clearly. For her, the house would fill with balloons, laughter, and gifts piled higher than the cake itself. For me, it was quiet. A small cake, maybe a sweater I didn't need. Nothing compared to the joy they poured into her. It wasn't about the presents. It was about what they meant. She was celebrated. I was tolerated. Every achievement of hers was praised like it was history in the making. She drew a picture, and they called it genius. She sang a song, and they clapped until their hands were red. But when I brought home good grades or tried to show them my own work, they barely looked up. A nod, a distracted "that's nice," and then their eyes drifted back to her. What hurt most wasn't the favoritism itself, but the silence they gave me. I never heard, "I'm proud of you." I never felt their arms around me in celebration. It was as if my efforts, my very existence, didn't matter. And slowly, I began to believe it. But my sister knew. She knew she was the favorite, and she wore it like a crown. Sometimes she didn't even need to say a word. The way she carried herself told me everything. I'm everything. You are nothing. She mocked me when no one was watching. She made sure I always knew my place. And the worst part? My parents defended her no matter what she did. I would sit in the corner, pretending not to care, holding a book while they laughed with her at the dinner table. I tried to speak up, to share a thought or a story, but I was always cut off. My words fell like stones into a well, swallowed by silence. Yet even in that silence, the small flame inside me refused to go out. A whisper told me, one day they will see. One day you won't be invisible anymore. I didn't know how. I didn't know when. But I carried the thought like a secret treasure. The one thing that kept me alive in the shadows. And here's what my parents never understood. When you leave someone in the dark, they learn to see in ways you never imagined. I was patient. I was silent. And patience, they would one day discover, can be more powerful than all the favoritism in the world. Because what they didn't know, what no one knew, was that I carried a secret. A secret that would one day turn their world upside down. Growing up, I lived in the shadow of endless comparisons. No matter what I did, it was never enough. If my sister and I walked into a room together, people's eyes went to her first. She always had the better clothes, the brighter smile, the attention that seemed so natural to her. My parents made sure of it. They dressed her like a princess while I wore hand-me-downs that never quite fit. At school events, the difference was painful. She'd perform on stage and the whole family would rise to their feet, clapping like she was the star of a grand theater. When it was my turn, their applause was polite, restrained, as if cheering too loudly for me would somehow lessen her shine. Teachers would compliment her, and my parents would beam with pride. For me, they nodded, quickly moving on. The smallest achievements of hers were treated like gold. A drawing taped proudly to the fridge. A simple test score celebrated with ice cream. When I achieved the same, or even more, it was brushed aside. If I slipped, if I made the tiniest mistake, they didn't hesitate to remind me how much better she was. So I learned to swallow my feelings, to hide the ache behind a smile. I trained myself to be quiet, to endure the sting of their words while my heart cracked a little more each day. On the outside, I looked calm, but inside, a storm was brewing. And though they couldn't see it, I knew. One day, they would regret underestimating me. My sister didn't just enjoy being the favorite. She made sure I never forgot it. She mocked me when no one was watching, whispered cruel jokes to her friends, and excluded me from games and secrets. Every time I tried to stand up for myself, my parents rushed to defend her. To them, she could do no wrong. When something broke in the house, they blamed me without hesitation. When she failed at something, they found excuses, blaming the teacher, the weather, anything but her. And when I succeeded, silence, no praise, no pride. It was as if my efforts vanished into thin air. The hardest part wasn't her cruelty. It was the way they allowed it. I wasn't just the forgotten daughter. I was the scapegoat, the outsider in my own home. I could sit at the same table, under the same roof, and still feel like I didn't belong. But life has a strange way of rewarding those who suffer silently. The turning point came when I least expected it. One ordinary afternoon, a letter arrived with my name on it, not my sister's, not my parents'. Mine, it was from a distant relative I barely remembered. Someone who had quietly watched my life from afar. Inside, it held news that left me breathless. I had been chosen as the sole heir to their estate. $15 million. I read the words over and over, my hands trembling, my heart racing. It didn't feel real. For so long, I had been overlooked, ignored, invisible. And now, in one stroke of fate, I was the one who mattered. I couldn't believe it. For once in my life, I was chosen. I was valued. I was seen. The weight of those years of neglect pressed against the joy I felt, making it even sharper, even sweeter. This wasn't just money. It was validation. It was freedom. It was proof that I wasn't as insignificant as they made me believe. But I didn't tell them. Not yet. I decided to keep it a secret, hidden like a weapon waiting to be drawn. Because this fortune wasn't just money. It was my chance at freedom. And my weapon for justice. Secrets never stay hidden forever. Mine slipped out in the most unexpected way. My sister stumbled upon the truth one evening, the glimpse of a document. A number too large to ignore. $15 million. Her face changed instantly. The smug smile she always carried cracked into disbelief, then twisted into jealousy. She asked questions, her voice sharp, almost trembling. For once, she wasn't the one holding power over me. She knew it. And it terrified her. But it didn't end with her. Soon, my parents knew too. And just like that, everything changed, or at least, it looked like it had. Suddenly, they were interested in me. They asked about my day, smiled when I spoke, even reached out with clumsy gestures of affection. But I could feel it. Every word, every hug, every look was hollow. It wasn't love. It was greed disguised as kindness. All those years they couldn't see me. Now, blinded by money, they suddenly pretended to love me. And the worst part? They thought I couldn't tell the difference. They believed a little sweetness now could erase a lifetime of neglect. But I remembered every silence, every dismissal, every moment I was made to feel like nothing. If they wanted to play this game, I would let them. Because their desperation only proved what I had always known. To them, my worth was never in me. It was in what I had. Revenge didn't come with shouting or screaming. I never raised my hand, never even raised my voice. Instead, I learned to be quiet to watch and to let their own greed betray them. I began to test them, little by little. I dropped hints about what I planned to do with the money, not promises, just enough to spark curiosity. Immediately, my sister volunteered to help, acting as if she suddenly cared about my dreams. My parents, who once dismissed every idea I had, now called them brilliant. Their sudden admiration was almost laughable. At family dinners, I noticed how every conversation turned back to my fortune. They asked about investments, about generosity, about what I might give them. Not once did they ask how I felt. Not once did they see the girl they had ignored all those years. Only the money. Always the money. So I played along. I smiled, I listened, I let them reveal themselves fully. And with every fake smile and greedy glance, they exposed a truth I had always known. Their love had conditions. Their loyalty had a price tag. For the first time in my life, I felt in control. I didn't need to argue. I didn't need to prove myself. Their own desperation was proof enough. I didn't have to raise my voice. I didn't have to fight. Their own actions destroyed them. The moment came sooner than they expected. At a family gathering, surrounded by relatives who had also spent years praising my sister, the truth revealed itself. My parents and sister, desperate to prove their closeness to me, spoke openly about how supportive they had always been. They painted a picture of love and unity that never existed. I listened quietly, the same way I had done my whole life. But this time, I didn't stay silent. Calmly, I began to speak about the years of being overlooked, the countless times I was blamed, the moments when my success was ignored. And then I revealed what everyone in that room truly wanted to know: the inheritance. Their eyes widened, whispers filled the room. But instead of sharing it, I told the truth: that their sudden kindness only came after money entered the picture, that their love had been an illusion, shattered the moment they believed I had value. My parents were speechless. My sister's face burned with humiliation. For the first time, I wasn't the forgotten daughter. I was the one holding the mirror to their hypocrisy. I knew my revenge didn't need anger or chaos. I wouldn't shout. I wouldn't beg. All I had to do was wait and let their greed do the work for me. So I started carefully. I mentioned small things, ideas I had, plans I might make. Instantly, my sister leaned in, offering to help, her eyes glittering with false kindness. My parents, who once dismissed everything I said, suddenly declared my thoughts brilliant. The very same voices that silenced me now hung on my every word. But I saw through them. Every smile was hollow. Every gesture of affection had a price tag attached. They didn't want me, they wanted what I had. And I gave them room to show it. I let them make promises, ask questions, trip over their own eagerness. Each moment was proof, not of my weakness, but of their hypocrisy. And for the first time in my life, I felt powerful. I was no longer the forgotten daughter. I was the one pulling the strings. I didn't have to raise my voice. I didn't have to fight. Their own actions destroyed them.